and they relate very much to what we're going to be doing tonight. One was Heidi, that she went into quite a bit of explanation about the variation on the slide that we have, which is about the dollars that residents pay after the deal is done for residential and open space. And she had a different set of numbers than you had, but it was very much the same theme.
Oh, the cost survey.
That, yeah, that's $1.35 to the city, in any city in Summit County when a resident comes in for their expense, and it's 55 cents if it's open space. So it was, I just wanted to mention that.
I wonder if I can get her chart.
Pardon me?
What if I can get her chart?
Yeah, you can. She's got the PowerPoint, she said.
Okay.
And then the other thing was, and this was maybe my my walk away, to put a phrase around something that I certainly will use. But she talked about, on the one slide that we have, what are the values that we're trying to use in doing all of this. And she talked about the layering of values. Ag lands, wildlife, clean water,
okay.
Public recreation, view shed, protecting this value, protecting that value, that at the end of the day, it's the business end married with these layers of value. And she talked about how many folks come into this and they have 5 or 7 or 9 acres. And it may work out for them financially, but on the values end, you're going to come up short with a small piece of property like that. There aren't enough values to drive to the end zone for you. The bigger pieces of property naturally are usable in terms of more values are at play, and that particularly for the cities. So I'm thinking about Midway and Heber and Charleston, that a person who wants to work with you and has 6.5 acres, that may be pretty tough to apply that open space value to that and to get a third party involved, because there aren't enough values to push that to the end zone, so that that person or that organization that holds the management of the open space requirements, they just can't make all of that work. That's something else. It might be wetland, it might be open space for a city, it might be part of something that's done with a PUD, or it might be an agreement that's reached with the family just to keep that property open. But in kind of the classic sense of what they do, it just drives towards the larger pieces tend to fall more into place. Not always, but for the most part. Thus endeth the epistle for the day.
But on that, I think this board could, you take some appraisal terminology, look at the plottage and assembly, and work with some of those small property owners and put together a package.
Parcel.
Yeah, package, and put maybe 3 or 4 different property owners involved. Come up with something to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
Well, particularly if it has a high value in one of those layers, right? I mean, if it's a watershed, for example, it might be a small piece of property or a couple small pieces of property, but if it's part of the watershed for,
if it's a critical piece,
a critical piece, then all of a sudden there's a value add.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Well, maybe I can give you an update on the legislation. The legislation we're pushing, that urban farm, Senate Bill 226.
This is Van Tassel bill. Yeah.
And it's gone to the governor for his signature. So that would allow us to, if a person wanted to, if they had a parcel of 2 acres or larger, that didn't qualify for the green belt because of the size, and it was irrigated farmland and used for some kind of crop, they could put it in their urban farm ordinance of the county, and it would be treated at green belt. They'd have the same rollback issues, but it would just allow us to go down smaller. That way, somebody has a 5-acre lot and they build a house on it, they take an acre out, then all of a sudden none of it qualifies anymore, and they pay market tax.
Okay.
And the first thing they do is that when the tax gets so high, they say, well, we got to sell the rest of this or divide it.
It's like a disincentive to buy land and live on it.
Yeah.
It's almost an incentive to develop.
Yeah, and so he got that passed.
What was the number on that, Steve?
Senate Bill 226.
Senate bill,
And originally, it was set up for the Class 1 and 2 counties, Salt Lake and Davis County. And they wanted to limit that, but when he got into it, he put it as a county option. County council or the county commission can pass an ordinance, say we want to be part of the urban farm.
Because they're the most directly impacted, right?
Yeah.
It's just going to play into it.
Yeah,
Is it just counties that can do it, or can cities do it too?
just counties right now.
Okay.
Okay, should we go through the presentation and
Okay, so I can get this chart updated, I'll certainly try to do that. Everything's pretty much the same, other than just a few things that have been added here. If anybody wants to change that, this is your last chance.
Is that the second one?
This is the, yeah, and we also need to decide who's going to do what in the presentation. I'm not saying I have to do any of this. I'm hopeful that this is self-explanatory for whoever does it. Okay.
So you saw that.
Yes, I did. Okay, and then that one's the same.
Heidi,
And
I
I'll
had
try
a
to update
suggestion,
this. Okay.
and swapping 3 and 4. If you can go to slide 4.
Oh.
This is benefits of open space, and it's narrative and it's straightforward, and then go back to 3. And as I read that again, that's more complex.
This?
And as I went through it, that starting with the simple statements and then
Mhm.
building up to the more complex graphic.
That's fine.
Makes
you know
sense?
what we're doing? We're moving
3
4
down to
and
4.
Yeah, just swapping
Okay,
them.
so we've got the introduction of why so there's such high interest. I'm sorry, this is so messy, everybody, honestly. And so let me now back up here. So we started with, I think I moved that too far. Hold on, please. Okay. So I think the first one's a really good punchline. I've added that in, but it's the highest priority, receiving one more vote than Main Street traffic. I think everybody can say, no way, but yes. And we'll have the handout. I'll get the handout ready for that. And then we have,
No.
so this is introductory, the public's interest.
Okay.
And then we moved it up according to what Cortland just said. Now this thing, it's kind of shadowy and I need to change the formatting. I can do it here, I can't do that on Google Docs very well, so I'll do it here. But I've added that, something that Tracy and I talked about, that all of the proposals are based on the private property owner's free choice. And we'll respect taxpayer funds to make them stretch as far as possible. And then no one's forced, I'm saying that again. Conservation easements do that. There's other tools that are flexible. And now I'm just adding in what you said, Cortland. Initial work of this board is to build relationships with prospective landowners. That's one of our first goals.
What slide are you on?
Well, we changed it. Now we're on 3, but it used to be 4.
Benefits of open space continue.
Yeah, that continued
Well, I
when
don't
we
have that.
switched. It was there
She
before.
just added it.
No, I just switched it between the
Oh.
chart, and it was after
They're
the
just in
chart.
reverse order, Steve.
Are you on the internet right now?
No, it's just doesn't.
Because mine just popped it out because you moved it, and so it wouldn't update on the Google Doc, because I'm not online.
Right, it won't
Okay,
update unless you're
so-
online.
Anyway,
And I
pop
just
me out.
downloaded this 5 minutes before it came, well, maybe 8.
Oh, you downloaded it?
I downloaded
Okay,
it.
got it.
Right. And so I've added in some positive statements about why the board exists. We want to be close to the land and all of that. These are the kinds of lands we're interested in, but we could add in what you also said, Cortland, on view sheds, wetlands.
Mhm.
Do you want me to do that?
Sure.
Okay. Sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay. We probably don't have enough space to do more lines here, so we'll just go like this.
And you can put those paragraphs closer together too.
Yeah.
Me too.
And
They're
then,
getting pretty small.
yeah, and we might do this in 2 slides, right?
Yeah.
Just because this has to be formatted so that you
Yeah.
can see it besides the
It's
trees.
a pretty meaty slide. There's a
Yeah,
lot
we
of
might
stuff on
want to
it.
break it up.
I was gonna bring up this, this one right here, increases adjoining property. Sorry.
Yes. adjoining property values.
Increases in adjoining property value. To me, that sounded like there's winners and there's losers, so to speak, right? It does increase the value because you keep the view sheds and you keep all this stuff, but I don't know if we want to start comparing it to what's happening next door and how that increases somebody else's property. What?
Just take adjoining out.
Yeah, I
increases
could take,
property values.
yeah, just take out.
General,
Increases
That's a true
residential
statement.
property value.
And see, Ryan, I was hopeful that you could find what kind of
do you know what I
economic
mean? I don't
development.
like to say, this is what's going to happen on this property, so this guy's going to benefit from that
Yeah,
guy.
and I
Do
think
you
it's-
know what I mean?
I think that's a good point.
I don't want there to be like them or us or them kind of situation.
Ideas about economic development.
Considering it, the landowners
attractive to-
want this to happen
See, I
on their
said
property is the whole
high quality
point.
of life.
Okay, so it's not like we're taking from some people and giving it to others, but still,
Just
it's like,
anecdotally
I don't know how we
through
can say it,
testimony,
increases
some
the
of our
quality
businesses,
of
we're here
life
because
for
of
everyone in the valley, something a little more general of, not
Maintain,
talking about property values.
maintains the quality of
And
life
it's
and
also
rural character of the.
Of the whole community.
Emphasize
You
that
know,
in
we're
town
just
again. We
lumping
don't have
everybody in a
we
whole
don't have an
community
international
instead of
airport.
going, the
What we
guy
have
next
is
door is
quality of life,
gonna be
and
styling.
they can
Yeah.
coexist.
So now it just says increases property values.
We just were talking, what did you just say that last
I
time?
think we ought to put it maintains the rural character
And the quality of
and the
life
quality of life in the Heber Valley,
for the whole community.
for the valley.
And see-
Something like that, where it's like just
Yeah. we can have that.
everybody will benefit from it without talking about property values.
Well, so we can say that, but should we keep increased property values in as well?
No, I would take it out because
Don't you
Yeah,
think it has
I
a,
think so. Because
distasteful-
You're gonna have some say, well,
how come they get, their property values are
I'm
increasing?
frozen my property value if I make the deal. If I hold off, mine may double.
Mhm.
So
I understand.
I think it maintains and preserves
Well, we
the
have,
quality of life and rural character of the valley.
see,
Yeah.
I've got some ideas sort of like that, protect our quality of life for future generations.
Yeah,
But I think something about maintaining the rural nature,
Rural
the
character.
rural,
character of the valley is important.
you could talk about air quality and water quality and all that stuff,
But then we'd
but
lose everybody.
Maintain the rural quality of life which augments, no, maintain the rural character of the valley which augments our quality of life.
The only problem we got there is knowing how to spell augment.
I didn't say
I was
that.
hoping the PhD here
I can
could.
spell it, I just,
There's a
the
U
rural
and a G, I'll tell you that.
quality, character, and it attracts, well, the next sentence I put in is attracts economic development that is also committed to a high quality of life. Because that's in Ryan's video.
right.
Yeah.
So, and
The open
then,
space leads to economic development. They're not mutually exclusive, that you can do both. They strengthen each other.
okay, and then, well, so we've got maintains, and then we have protect our quality of life for future generations. I think that's
Mhm.
huge.
Yep.
Absolutely huge. Okay, so if I can get this updated, I just think these quotes are really good, that natural resources don't have to be converted to other uses for fiscal stability. Residential development doesn't lead to lower taxes. Farmland's not just waiting around for development. I think they need to see that head on and say, well, what do I really believe there? Because to me, it's a myth too.
Now, is that a slide you,
That's a slide I put together based on this farmland.org
It's the one with
community
the
services.
money on the side.
And he's saying that open space is 55, but does that include agriculture in that PowerPoint you saw?
I don't know. We need to check with, I don't want to throw a number out there that
Okay.
you can't put down as being the gospel according to, what Wendy has found.
You can give a range,
I think.
$1.30 to $1.50.
The point gets lost
per-
sometimes in the
I
complexity.
think just, the numbers you got is probably all right because it shows
Nationally.
a lower value. The cost to maintain is 37 cents for agricultural land and $1.16 approximately.
for every dollar of revenue.
Yeah.
And, yep, that should make people think right there. Okay, so now when we get to what lands, and I'm pretty sure some people added some things here.
I put several in at the bottom there. I can't read them from here, but there was
Is that better?
recreation and wildlife corridors. And what's the bottom one?
Common lands of
Common
interest.
lands.
Yeah, and I didn't know if you wanted that kind of a statement in there. Steve made reference in the last meeting about Jordanelle, and so I just ran with it, that, you know, if we work with Jordanelle developers and there's some reason to partner with them for any of those above bullets, and then the lands that are tangential to the cities and the municipalities, is that what I've got?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't know
good.
if that sounded the way you
No,
guys
that's
want to
good.
go, but I think it's,
I mean, it gives us all the options.
yeah.
And it shows we're not just focused on one aspect of it.
I just added in view sheds, watersheds, view sheds, or wildlife protection. Okay, and then the part about every city can develop their criteria, their projects, we'll work with them.
There should be a comma after additional.
So let's talk about that point. Each city can develop their own open lands board.
And that's right here.
And I think they have to, don't they?
If they want to,
Be a part of this, right?
well, no, they don't have to be a part of it, but if they want
It's right here in
to
our-
share in any of the money,
Right.
they have to have their own open lands board, their own criteria.
The municipalities have this.
Right.
And,
They make recommendations to us.
Okay.
They can provide a member, they can adopt their own map for their criteria, they can prioritize it, and then we can split up this bond based on taxable value.
Okay, the question, I went home and watched the Midway one. The question I'd have, are we going to allow them to do that on match funds too?
Do what?
Get a percentage of it?
It's not in the it's not in our local agreement.
It's not. But if we get match fund from the federal government or something, are we going to,
Let's figure that out when we do the bylaws and the criteria.
all right?
Would it be wise if we have a, what do you call it, in the trade, Ryan, where we got a parking lot for issues that we just don't know the answer to yet? So maybe a parking lot issue is, you know, this relationship with the cities and what they do and what we do, and we just start to list some things that are fair, honest, open questions, and we don't know. That's what we've got from now till August to kind of figure out.
It's kind of like the Heber Valley Tourism and Economic Development Office. When something, no one knows what to do with it, they just throw it to us.
Okay, that's true.
I would think that that issue too would be property specific, right? I mean, if it's in Midway city limits, then, or within the annexation area of Midway, then we'd probably go to Midway and say, you probably want to participate on this one. How can you? Be like
Right.
Bonanza Flats. I think Bonanza Flats is the perfect example of a cooperation in that way.
Here's the next one. I really like this idea of the one-stop shop, that we're trying to provide a lot of land preservation options for property owners' needs. And maybe I can turn up the brightness on this, guys. For some reason, it doesn't look great when I'm
Mine looks good.
sideways. There we go. Step out of the way there. There, now I can finally read that. Is that better, everybody? Sorry.
I don't see a problem with any of that.
Now, I may not have much agricultural background other than being raised with chickens and cows and sheep, but I have a commitment to open space.
Does the title match the language? Are we really tools?
We're the first tool, so to speak.
Okay.
Do we want to say, yeah, that's true.
Assets?
How about WOLB organization or goals? Open land board goals? Or not
Bird
goals?
commission.
Organization and goals?
You'll come up with something.
Unless you want to put steps to preserve open space. Other than
What
tools.
What
Yeah.
about the WOLB and open space? Like the Wasatch Open Lands Board had open space, or something that, I'm with you, I think it has to, that whole slide's about this board, and the reasons to have the board. Fund it.
Yeah.
Organization and purpose.
No, because it's not really the purpose. Well, I mean,
We
I guess
wanna-
it is down
We
there.
have purposes, we have some right here. We're going to collaborate, we're going to facilitate, we have these connections, we're going to provide the projects,
Our priorities?
priorities. So organization and priorities, something like that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Unless you come up, you know, sometimes when you see it, then you say, well, how about this, right?
Okay, that's not bad.
Go ahead, Steve, look at that.
Yep.
Okay. And then we go into Snake Creek and Wolf Creek.
You did that your title, you probably did.
I think you did. And then the Last Dollar Ranch. You on here?
Now, the reason the Last Dollar Ranch is in here in Colorado, this is an example of a rancher putting a conservation easement and still having the right to own the land and
Exactly.
manage it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Which
said no
is
local.
what we're,
open for it.
yeah, that's our.
And it's a pretty place, like your ski town, similar situation.
So then we have Bonanza Flats.
I had a Banana Flats, I don't know if we wanted to use it or not, we talked about it last time. I just didn't make the picture fill the full screen.
They're aware of it.
I think we do.
I think
Yeah.
so.
That's the most
Yeah.
recent example.
But I just got out of a meeting with Park City on their
Yeah.
proposal. They're going to the city council tomorrow night, is it? The 5th? No, they're going to the city council on the 15th with their plan. And it's going to cost them a lot of money to manage it.
The city.
Mhm. Yeah, because they've got trespass issues and a lot of issues that,
Well, it's theirs now.
yeah.
Okay, now
Try to keep them off.
I think we added in one here.
Yeah, after 50 years.
I just added all of those, you
Right.
guys, to try and give a flavor around the county. And I just put them up, it was just top of mind, to give a
Right, that
sense that there are different places where we could look at if we had partners. We mentioned the Northfield and the verbatim earlier, but here's some, these just were starters. So
Where's
any of them
Bonanza
be
Ranch?
deleted, the wording I don't care about. With the Center Creek, we mentioned that at the last meeting. One of you mentioned Upper Lake Creek on the way up to the Forest Service boundary. I don't like the way the Midway one is worded, but I didn't know quite how to describe it. And I'm thinking about the hot pots, and I'm thinking about along the river, and I'm thinking about heading south towards Charleston, because those are some of the areas that my neighbors want us to look at. And the Wallsburg benches, I just grabbed that off the wall. It's,
That's a hot topic.
yeah, and that's, I didn't know it was, but it was something about wildlife habitat and watershed protection and some of the things that go to those larger holdings that would have the layering, again, several values would have to come together to move that. And I think there's one more on that.
Where's this ranch at?
Bonanza Ranch, where is that?
That was on there. I didn't change that. I assumed you meant up on top.
That should have been Bonanza Flat, I bet.
Yeah, I didn't, that was
Well,
on there.
Well, that's not gonna be.
We already have that, don't we?
Yeah,
Bill?
so,
It's
I mean,
in
why
there.
wouldn't we put the Northfields in there instead? I mean,
Yeah, I
Right?
think Bonanza
'Cause-
Ranch Flats is already taken care of.
Yeah, Northfield should be top.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, we might as well list it.
of course, I guess you could say this Everland's northwest and southwest of city.
Yeah, I didn't know what that meant. Is that
Well,
what?
Steve talked about the irrigation farms, which is southwest of Heber.
Right
And
there.
that's-
And part of that is in the city limits, if I read the map correctly.
Well,
And then
it's
northwest
not.
is Northfields.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of
If we
generally,
replace Bonanza Ranch with Northfields,
Okay.
Got that.
and the sewer farm takes the southwest, we could probably do away with this. Heber.
Last one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on a second here.
Because to me, that means city limits, Heber city limits. And
Okay,
it's
I
like,
gotcha.
what's left?
So we have Jordanelle developments and benches.
I didn't know how else to put it down.
No,
Yeah, that's
no,
good.
I'm just saying, I was thinking it was more city limits. Midway.
Do we want to say Round Valley instead of Wallsburg benches, Round Valley areas?
No, say Wallsburg, because a lot of people don't know Round Valley.
They think Round Valley, Park City.
And
Yeah.
the wrong,
Oh,
I think I'd put Wallsburg Meadows and benches. Because the
Oh, it's
820,
the flat.
the
Yeah.
820 going up the valley floor, we want to preserve as well.
And I think we need to clarify that these aren't necessarily bondable areas, like the HVSSD is already publicly owned. I think it's
Yeah.
just
mhm.
designating it as public space.
So this is nitpicky, Heidi, but if we're gonna capitalize things in one place, I think we should be
Mhm,
consistent. So that if
Sure.
we're gonna capitalize benches there, let's capitalize it below too.
Okay.
Maybe throughout.
Or just not capitalize.
Yeah, just
Oh,
not.
on the cap.
That would be my
Just-
preference,
I'm
but
sorry.
I don't want it
Since
to
it's
be-
a bullet point, that's my only reason why. Sorry, if I had
Is-
periods there, I'd.
Is there a
I
way
wouldn't.
of putting a background to this?
We will. I'll put a
Okay.
nice background. I
Okay,
might
because
put a
then that
different
way everything
background.
matches.
Just
Okay.
be consistent,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can I do a
Is there
different
any risk
background?
in going through specific examples that will alienate anyone?
I'm big on graphics.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
let's
my
just
only-
keep
I don't know our
it,
target.
because we're talking about a general bond.
Right.
Plus, we don't know if these landowners are even, we don't want to alert them like we're singling out certain areas.
So this
It's like,
isn't singling out enough. Nobody's gonna feel singled out with this list,
No,
right?
but I
So you guys
think
would better-
if we just put possible other, whoops. If we-
And that's why
Maybe if we change the heading to possible other land areas of interest.
I'm all about simplicity,
Oop.
Yeah.
like
I'm
that.
just, sorry.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, just put a nice big picture on the back, but then you, does anybody mind if I animate this too? And you got a clicker?
What?
Do you mind if I animate this and you guys can use my clicker?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, because that's,
As long as there's fireworks that appear.
no. But see, I take this.
Go back to other
I stick it back
areas.
up on the other thing, and then I would do the transparency with the fade, right?
Mhm.
So that you can see the words just fine, but you've got a beautiful background. Okay, so here's the
There.
part.
Put, what did you say?
Possible.
Possible county areas.
Possible other county areas of interest.
All right,
Other
let's-
possible county areas.
Yeah.
Okay.
My thought was that we had to throw something out there.
Yeah.
We can't just say Northfields and what else and go, well, I don't know, we'll find some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to split the difference between
Nice.
being at all specific, but saying obviously,
Every
this is an
corner of the
area that
county.
it's
Yeah.
gonna come up.
That's good.
And here are half a
Mhm.
dozen spots that I'm guessing are gonna come up in our
Yeah.
conversation.
I don't really think we
Just
need
possible,
other.
yeah, because we didn't name
We
any
didn't talk
above
about
it.
anything else,
Yeah.
right?
So
There's
these
for
are
sure.
the areas of interest.
Yeah, I think possible sounds good there. Okay. And then it'll be formatted the same as the other slides. Okay, now we get to the bond text, and Justin, you worked on this, didn't you?
I tightened it up a bit.
Yeah,
I think it needs
I
to be
can see
tightened up
that.
more. And some of it was just trying to make it more palatable.
Now, we could say proposed bond text at the top.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's fine with context. They're gonna know that it's
Okay,
not final.
well
But,
then, here you go.
you know, it's things like, it's just consistency things. We name it the district, but then below we still call it the county. I think one or the other, I don't have a problem with calling it the county yet.
It's the
Is it-
county.
Yeah,
It's not a
it's not a
district.
district.
Yeah.
Okay. I wondered about that, but I thought I would bring it up.
No,